welcome to this week's episode of Cooking Fast and Light. I'm Judy Matusky with Athens Nutrition, and I'm joined again by my friend Wendy Kramer. This is part 2 of our 2-part series on easy summer entertaining, and I wanted to make sure that you got this second part, and Wendy was nice enough to come back and join us. It is her recipe. She's the one that introduced me to this. I've only made it one time, so I really want to have Wendy sort of help narrate and walk ourselves through this. All right, so just as a heads up, I know we usually cook with few ingredients and things are pretty simple. This is a very easy recipe to put together. It does have a few extra ingredients, and it's kind of a recipe that you're going to do in sort of 3 parts. So we'll walk you through the 3 parts. Nothing's difficult about it. It's so easy to do, but it is just a little bit more involved than maybe what we're used to, when you're joining me live.
But it's well worth it.
But it is so well worth it. And what I love about it, and Wendy will talk about this more, is that when you're entertaining anytime, whether it's summer or any time of the year, it's so nice to have your entire meal prepped ahead of time. Kitchen's cleaned up, you're ready to go to just enjoy your friends when they arrive. So this is one of those recipes, and that's probably that, and it's so delicious, but one of the main reasons why I absolutely loved it. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and get started. This is in 3 parts, so basically I'll go over that real quick, and then Wendy's gonna help with that. We have a dressing that needs to be made because that's used 3 different ways. We are going to cook some couscous, and we'll talk about that. And then they're grilling off some veggies and some shrimp, right? Okay. So because the couscous takes about 10 minutes or so, we're going to go ahead and start with that. And I am going to be here kind of doing it, and I'm going to let Wendy talk to you a little bit about the couscous, where do you find it, and why this one's a little bit different. So I'm going to go ahead and get things going, and she can fill you in on that.
So for any of you that have used couscous before, this is a different type. It's called pearl couscous, or sometimes Israeli couscous, and it's like little balls. It's a really lovely texture, and it does so beautifully with the vinaigrette. And especially when prepared the way Judy's doing it, of toasting it first, and the recipe will tell you exactly how long you toast it for, and then what you cook it in.
Grab it from you right now as you're talking. I'm going to take this out because I am going to start toasting it.
Okay.
And the recipe calls for like 2 3/4 cup or something, but it's basically the entire box. It's a 12-ounce box, and that's exactly what you're going to use. Okay, sorry.
And you can get this in most grocery stores. You can get them at specialty stores like Mediterranean kind of stores, or I actually get it in bulk at the Head Nut in order or in town.
In bulk would even be better.
Yeah, it's really good. So once Judy gets that going, I think one of the key ingredients in this recipe that makes everything taste so wonderful is the dressing. And it is super easy, but I would highly recommend that you make it either right when you're starting, or ahead of time, and it's a very simple vinaigrette. So
just real quick, before Wendy starts the dressing, with the couscous that's in this, it's a pretty heavy duty 3-quart pot, give or take. I put a tablespoon of oil in here to kind of coat the couscous because we are toasting it, and I have it on fairly high, medium to high heat. So I have this on. I'm gonna kind of let it go and just stop fooling around with it. Let it start to do its thing, and then I'll show you what it looks like after toast while Wendy's doing the dressing.
And you'll smell it when you're making
it.
Too
bad
you can't,
so
but
good.
You can tell, taste the...
It's so funny. I think because there's 2 of us on here, I know our lighting, it looks like our lighting's going in and out, and no worries. I mean, I just wanted to say, hey, we realize that that's happening, but there's really kind of out of our control. I have a feeling I might keep you over this. Okay. If I keep you here, I think we're good, as long as it's not too hot. All right.
I don't want to be a ghost.
You're good. Yeah, that's fine. I think it's just that's fine. Okay, here we go.
Do you want me to get started on
why don't we go ahead and do the dressing?
Okay, so the dressing is super easy, and it's very versatile. So what I'm going to do is you can use a container like this with a lid, make the dressing in it and shake it, or you can just use a bowl and a whisk and do it that way as well. So super easy. So Judy was kind enough to chop the fresh herbs first, and it calls for oregano and thyme. And Judy got hers out of her garden. I get it out of my garden, but don't panic if you
We'll
don't
just
have
show you
this.
here really quickly.
Yeah.
So here's the fresh thyme from the garden.
And you just strip it off of the stem.
Maybe show them how to do
Sure,
that.
super
Some people might.
easy.
So if you're using fresh herbs, you do thyme. I'll let Wendy, and then here's the oregano. And that
Oregano
you
is
do have to chop.
easier to get off. Thyme can be a little bit, because it's smaller. But all you do is just go down against the grain and you pull off the herbs. Same thing for the oregano. Just comes right up on your hand if you go against, so go down. If you go up, you're not going to get it. So super simple, chop it up, measure it out, and Judy has done this. So this is...
mine's not chopped really, really fine. You
It's
could
okay.
probably chop it even finer. What if you don't have, what if you don't have fresh?
If you don't have fresh, use half the amount of dried oregano or dried thyme. That's usually the key when you're using fresh herbs. You double the amount. If it calls for fresh herbs, use that amount. But if you're substituting fresh herbs for a recipe that calls for dried herbs, you would double it. You need more of the fresh. The dried is more concentrated. So, all that said, let's see, I'm going to put 3 tablespoons of red wine vinegar. Super easy to
And
find.
the red wine vinegar is essential. I
Yes.
think that really adds a different flavor than like an apple cider or
Yes.
a white vinegar. So red wine is really one you really want to use. I think red wine is such a great vinegar. Red wine vinegar is such a great vinegar to use in dressing.
And I actually make my own red wine vinegar many times with regular vinegar and leftover red wine.
There you
But
go.
you want good red wine. You don't want like crappy red wine that you wouldn't drink. But if I have leftover, I'll just fill up a bottle with it. So you can do that as well, but you don't need to. So let's see, we have the red wine vinegar. I'm going to throw the herbs in. And a garlic clove that is minced. So I'm going to do it right over here so we have less to wash up. I don't even have to use the knife for that. So a little grater, or I have a garlic press that I use. So either way is fine, and you just don't want to grate your fingers, of course. We don't want skin in there. So you're going to put the garlic right into it, and that's good. And then I think the last ingredient is the, a third of a cup of olive oil.
Olive oil. I'm going to interrupt real quick.
Yes.
We can smell the couscous.
It's
browning.
toasting.
It's toasting.
All
And you're not
good.
going to get all the grains toasted. So
Don't
you're
worry
not going to be
about
able to see this, but there's
It's gonna cook.
half are toasted. So I'm going to, as Wendy's finishing up that vinaigrette, I'm going to go ahead and get this going because this is going to take about 10 minutes. So I'm going to turn my heat down just a tiny bit. All right. So now we're adding, you're going to have this recipe, but I think it's 1 3/4 of a cup of low sodium vegetable broth, or it could be a chicken broth, either one. I'm going to use vegetable. I did use the Better Than Bouillon. You can hear it sizzling. The Better Than Bouillon, which is a reduced sodium, because we are using salt kind of throughout this dish, so you don't need the extra salt from the broth. And this is half the amount of sodium that a regular vegetable broth would be. So I'm adding that. I'm going to need it's a little more liquid, because it calls for an extra cup of water. So let me put that in. And you kind of want to measure this for sure, because this is going to use up all of the liquid when you're making this couscous. So it's not like pasta where you're draining off the liquid. So you want to make sure you're measuring
absorb
it.
When you're done.
When
It'll all be absorbed.
And then the final thing I'm going to add is the saffron. And that saffron, I get mine at Costco because it's probably the cheapest one. I don't know. It's a really good. Their price is great. Not that it's cheap. It's high quality saffron, but the price is good. And I bought a new one, but I think it only calls for 1/4 teaspoon. And it says 1/4 teaspoon crumble. So if you've never used saffron before, they're threads. They come in, they're like the saffron, it's the thread, they're in little like threads.
Sticks almost.
And so you kind of want to crumble that up. And we're trying to get about 1/4 teaspoon. So it's not a lot, but if you've never cooked with saffron, it has a very, very distinct aroma and flavor.
And it really complements everything in this dish. And it gives the couscous a lovely flavor.
It does. It's just right. It's amazing. If you don't have it, what would you do?
You could just not use it. It'll
Yeah.
be fine with the vegetable broth and the water. It'll be fine because you'll see when this is done, we're going to use some of this vinaigrette already done. How easy was that? We're going to use some of that on the couscous when it is cooked. so that it doesn't get dry. It's going to impart a lot of flavor to it. And then we're going to use it to marinate our vegetables when we're grilling. And then whatever we have left, we're going to drizzle over the top.
So there's a lot of flavor. You're building flavor. And when you're putting dishes together, this, I even said this had like a lot of ingredients. It doesn't have a lot of ingredients. It just has, kind of some moving parts. Yeah. So it's really, but when you're using good fresh, this is a great dish, wouldn't you say, to make in the summer?
Absolutely.
Because you have access to such great vegetables.
Right.
We're using zucchini, and we'll talk about that in a minute, but you could certainly substitute other vegetables for
Absolutely.
sure.
It's so versatile, and you can make it your own. And in fact, when I found this recipe, I kind of started building on other things that I could add to it, and came up with what I ended up serving.
Yeah, which was absolutely delicious. It was
but
amazing.
You could do so many variations of this, and with this super simple, easy vinaigrette that you've made, that's the hardest part, really.
Yeah, putting the vinaigrette together.
Yeah, once that's together.
So, Wendy, so this is so the idea here. So we toasted this. Okay, let's just walk through real quick. So we toasted
before you put the liquid.
We put about a tablespoon of oil and olive oil. Put the couscous in, toasted it. That you saw. That took maybe 3 or 4 minutes at the most to get. You don't have to get it fully toasted. Just a little brown.
Just to bring out the flavor.
Yeah, you can smell it. Then I added the broth and the water and the saffron. And you bring it to a boil, which is what it's doing right now. And then we're really not a boil. I'm sorry. You bring it to a simmer. So we're going to bring it to a simmer, and then I'm going to put the lid on, and I'm going to keep an eye on it. So I'm going to actually have the lid a little bit open, so that it doesn't boil over.
With my pots, I've done this enough time that I know it's going to take 10 minutes.
Yeah.
For mine.
So we'll see if this takes 10 minutes. I have it set for 10 minutes, and we'll see.
You just check on it. When the liquid is absorbed, that's when you know it's done.
That's when you know it's done. Okay, great. All right, so again, we're doing this. I'm going to turn my handle so that I'm going to keep this. You know what? No, I'm going to move this.
Do you want to move over here too?
You're good where you are. I'm going to move this over because I'm going to cook it on this surface, so that. Let me make sure that's up to a boil though, so we get it going. I'm going to move over and do the grilling of the shrimp over here, just so we can talk through the grilling of the shrimp and the vegetables. All right. So I know it gets a little bit warm right here, so just.
It's all good.
All right. So, Wendy, why don't you tell us a little bit about the grilling of all of everything?
Okay.
And what are our options?
You have
on how to
many
do
options
this?
with this. And if you don't eat shrimp, don't use shrimp. You don't need it. You could just do vegetables. But if you're going to use shrimp, you can either do on a grill pan like this. I use our outdoor grill, a gas grill. I would recommend with shrimp. I don't like putting stuff on skewers. I think it's a pain. And it's a lot of cleanup, and that's just a step that I eliminate. So I have like a grill pan on my grill that I can add to my grill, and I marinate the shrimp in the vinaigrette first with a little oil, and then put it on the grill. Shrimp cooks so quickly, maybe 2-3 minutes per side. And just the grilling, I think, imparts a really nice flavor, just as this will. But if you don't have a grill pan or a grill, you could easily saute it over high heat with a little oil in the pan, just to get it cooked. And you know it's cooked when it's pink and it's not grayish looking.
Right.
And I recommend using. It's hard to get really fresh shrimp, so I've read that it's almost even safer to use frozen shrimp that you get at the store, because that's pretty much what they're using too. So you just defrost it, which is super easy.
I left the little tails on just because I think they're so pretty for the presentation.
Now, if someone had cooked shrimp already, you could certainly use that. Obviously you would not grill it or use it in the pan, because if it's already cooked, all you would do is use the marinade, the part of this little versatile vinaigrette, to flavor the shrimp. So if anybody has already bought cooked shrimp, like cocktail shrimp, I think it's better when you do it this way, because you can control the cooking, not someone else has done it for you, like you can in the stores. But whatever. You can be flexible about any of this. just like when we get to the vegetables, we can talk about what vegetables will work well with this.
So this is 2 pounds of shrimp. You could certainly, this makes a lot. Well, the whole point of this is because you're making it to serve as a dinner party kind of dish.
Yes.
But if you're just making this for yourself and you don't want to, cut everything in half. It does make, because this makes a lot. So we're using 2 pounds of shrimp. Now, I probably should have had this, I should have had my grill pan hotter.
All right.
So this might take a few more minutes, but grill it up. You can just, like Wendy said, you could roast this. You could roast it in the oven.
Yeah.
You can do it on just a saute pan.
Right.
You can do it on indoor grill. You can do it on the outdoor grill.
You can do whatever.
I'm like Wendy. I am way too lazy to put things on skewers.
Yeah.
That's just way too much work.
It is
so it's much easier to do everything separately.
And you can make all of these pieces in advance as well. And you'll see how we throw it together at the end. But it is a very simple recipe once you figure out, again, getting mise en place, having all your ingredients ready so you can just pull them all together. This is the toughest part, making the vinaigrette, which took like less than a minute. It's not so bad.
Yeah, and remember that shrimp, what I love about shrimp from a nutritional perspective is it's such a lean source of protein. It's nothing but protein, basically. And it cooks so quickly, and even if you forget to defrost it, and if you can take it out of your freezer and sit it out, run it over, I usually run it under cold water, and it defrosts immediately.
Yes.
And you can even cook them when they're a little bit frozen. It's fine.
Now, I like to buy frozen shrimp in the shell. I do shell them and devein them.
Yeah.
Some people like to grill shrimp in the shell. I just find when I'm entertaining, I don't want anyone to have to get their hands dirty.
Yeah, peel the shrimp.
I just don't want to have to do that.
One thing, and if we're talking about food waste too, not to interrupt, sorry about that. If you buy the shrimp in the shell, no, I didn't do this time, but save the shells, put them in a freezer bag, and you can make an incredible, super fast and easy shrimp stock.
That's a great idea.
You take the shells and you saute them in a little olive oil, and you add water and let them cook. Maybe you add some onions and herbs. And then you have this amazing shrimp stock. But if you really want it, again, we're always talking about food waste, you can use those shells. If not, that's fine. I admit I didn't this time.
And Judy, that's such a good point, because you can make a shrimp stock, and then I freeze them in jars like this, and I put the amount on it. So the next time I have a recipe that calls for a cup of, broth, if it makes sense that I would want to use shrimp stock or fish stock or whatever, you have it. I take it out of the freezer, and I have the best. It's the best flavoring. It's
so good.
Yeah.
So we've got the shrimp. I'm gonna, because there's so many of them, I'm not gonna just flip them one by one to get. I'll just stir them around a little bit until we.
And once they see that they're cooked, when they're cooking, they get a nice pink color. Yeah, they're not that opaque looking.
Yeah, so you want them done. We don't want to overcook them, so we'll just kind of keep moving them around. All right, let's talk a little bit while we're. Oh, you can show them. These are the ones these are the vegetables that I use with custard red onion. This is just showing them before I cook them.
This is, I think, the best way with this recipe to cut your zucchini. So you want to cut the ends off real easy, and then you want to slice it into kind of planks, especially if you're going to grill this. Because I find if I end up chopping this up a little bit more before I serve it. But if you have ever tried to do like rounds of zucchini and throw them on the grill, sometimes they fall through, you lose a lot. This is much easier to control with the tongs on your grill. You can just flip them over. I like that you used scallions. I have not tried that, but grilled scallions are really great, or roasted scallions.
Yeah, I happen to have so many. I think I had 6 bunches of scallions in my refrigerator, and I had 1 red onion, and I thought, maybe I'll just grill those off. And with the vegetable, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No.
Go ahead.
The red onion, I was just telling Judy earlier, I'm not a big onion fan. Like, I would never eat raw onions, and cooking, I do cook with them, but I especially find with this recipe, the red onion grilled is amazing. And if you cut them into wedges, it's great because, again, I use my sort of grill pan on my outside grill so they don't fall through, as opposed to putting them on skewers, as we said, that's too much of a mess for us. Served in the dish, you get little pieces of the wedges, and it's delicious. Because that also is, you use the vinaigrette for the vegetables as well. So,
Perfect.
and tomatoes, these look like from your garden.
Those are actually garden tomatoes.
They're
yeah.
amazing. I'm getting mine too now.
Yay.
And so you can roast these, you can grill them. If I'm grilling tomatoes, again, I don't want to lose them on the grill, so I do use a little pan on the grill so that I won't lose any of the tomatoes or the juice. Okay?
All right, so just real quick, before we show you the grilled vegetables, just to kind of bring it back up to speed. All right, I finished off that shrimp. You saw how quickly that took, a couple minutes. I moved it off heat. I know that there's some residual heat on this grill pan, so I was being careful and mindful not to really overcook these because I know that you don't want them to be tough. They're going to continue to cook as they sit here. So I pulled them off. Our timer just went off for our couscous, so let's take a peek and see how that looks. I'm going to turn that off. Oh,
Looking good.
Let me use the spoon I used. Okay. Ah, it's looking good, right?
Perfect.
Is it time to come off?
Yeah, I think
All right,
so.
let me show this to them. Let me show this to you guys so you can see. Because I was not used to cooking with pearl couscous. I've used regular couscous before.
But it's a very different
Oh,
consistency.
it's a whole different thing,
Changes
and
everything.
it's absolutely
It's
delicious.
different.
It's one of my favorite things about the dish.
It's a shame you can't
So-
smell this. It's
Smells
amazing.
so good. You can smell the saffron. You
Yeah.
see how pretty it is?
Yeah.
So it absorbed all that liquid. So we don't
Which
have
is
anything
great.
to drain
in,
off.
In 10 minutes, less than 10 minutes.
Less than 10 minutes. So I'm gonna move it off to the side. I'm gonna.
But you wanna-
Oh, and while it's warm, do you do this or you let it sit for a little bit? While it's warm.
I do.
So here's what, 2
Okay,
tablespoons.
2 tablespoons.
All right. So
Okay.
let's go ahead and do that. So here's
Okay.
2 tablespoons.
Oh, thanks. I was
Sure.
looking for
Yep.
that.
So we're gonna
Okay.
mix the 2 tablespoons of that dressing in there.
And this is key because if you don't, the couscous is going to
Oh
start
my
to
gosh,
dry
that
out.
dressing smells
It's amazing.
amazing.
And
It's
simple.
smells so good.
So
All right, so
stir
we're
it in.
stirring it in.
And you're done.
And then this is, again, we're going to repeat that. Building flavor. We're
Yeah.
building flavor. So
Yeah.
the dressing is bringing more flavor to this couscous, in addition to that saffron and the broth. Oops.
So it is a very
All right,
complex.
so I'm going to pull this off. I'm going to cover it. That's just going to sit for a few minutes. We'll just put this off to the side. So as a recap, remember this is, I'm going to put it right here.
Sorry.
This is 3 parts, right? So we have the dressing that Wendy made. A couple of ingredients, not hard, but is essential for this dish because we're using it 3 different ways. I just finished up the couscous. That took about 10 minutes with a couple extra minutes to saute or to brown it and toast it in the oil. That's all done off to the side. We'll get to the vegetables in a minute because I did do those ahead of time because I knew it would just take a little too long to do this as part of Facebook Live. We did the shrimp in under 4 minutes probably,
Totally.
right? It just so fast. So you can do it outside, you can do it inside, you could even roast all of this in the oven. It's really up to you.
Yeah.
So we have those 3 components done. And in the addition of the 3rd component, which is the grilling of the vegetables, is what we're going to just talk about real quick next. Wendy already talked about we showed you those raw ones. Here's the zucchini that I grilled indoor on the same grill that I used. I just did it yesterday to save time. We were just saying it's better to probably do all of this at the same time and serve it at room temperature. Yes. To make these ahead of time and then to put them in the refrigerator and then take them back out, it's sort of sometimes, I think you just lose a little bit of flavor in that. But you could, because you're going to have the dressing. I want to show you though, this is one of the zucchini.
That is amazing.
I have a bigger one. I was telling Wendy, I have a bigger one downstairs in my refrigerator. It's really long. It almost loops around. This looks like a musical instrument. This is an Italian squash that my husband is growing. It's actually, we came across this when we were in Italy, and they gave us some seeds, and
wow.
this is amazing. Anyway, so I grilled that, and then I also had a regular zucchini from the garden. So
Which does not look like a regular zucchini
No,
that
it's
you get
huge.
at the store. This is amazing.
It's huge. So we have the zucchini, and then as Wendy was talking you through, I just grilled off some of those tomatoes on the grill.
Perfect.
I had some red onions, so I did that, and then the scallions. So they lost a little bit of their grill marks because they were in the refrigerator overnight. That just happens, but I think they'll still taste pretty good.
They will still be amazing.
All right, Wendy. So what we need to do, I guess, is we did not dress the shrimp and we did not dress this.
So you do the vegetables in one bowl.
Yep.
And the shrimp in another
So
bowl.
because you guys know I do not like dishes, I'm not going to put these in a bowl because they're already on this platter. So I'm going to take some of the dressing, right? So we're taking, it's like a tablespoon.
I think
So you know what? Maybe what we could do.
you could actually just put them all in the same bowl.
I was going to do this. How about we do this? I'll do a little bit of this, and you can toss these around.
Okay.
Right.
Sounds good.
So we'll put some on here, and I'll give you a here. Let me give you another tong.
Okay.
So here,
There
toss
were
them
no
around.
rules with this.
No,
Just
and then I'm
discussion.
going to do the same thing with these other vegetables. I'm going to put about a tablespoon or so of dressing over these, and then we'll just toss them around. And then for the shrimp, because I do have, well, you know what? No, I'm going to save dishes. I'm not going to use that bowl. I'm going to just toss some in right over top of the shrimp, right here on the grill.
And I find, if you can, make this same day. I mean, for the sake of saving time to show you all this, Judy was so great to prepare all this ahead of time. But when you put the vinaigrette on the warm grilled veggies,
it
just
smells
heavenly.
so good.
Yeah.
And guys, this smells amazing.
It really sinks in.
Amazing.
Even with this, it's amazing.
You can just smell it.
Yeah.
Oh, it smells lovely. All right, so we have our shrimp. I'm going to move everything over. We have our shrimp coated. We
Did you
have
put some on those veggies?
Let me, because I use this one. Let me use your tongs. I don't want to cross contaminate.
Yes.
So, all right, I did it on. I put it on mini veggies. Cross those around. Tomatoes and the onions are over here. Okay, so we're really saving some dishes. I love it. And plus, use parchment. You line the trays. It's even better, right?
Even better.
Okay, so now I'm going to give you some room, Wendy. Let me move. We're going to move some things around here, so that
this is the most.
This is what we've all been waiting for. Now the other thing is, because we have all these extra herbs, or even I have mint in the garden. Do you ever just sprinkle like herbs on top of it, or
That's
do you just
a great idea?
could do, or you don't need to, I guess. But
Yeah, you don't need to, but you certainly can. As far as I'm concerned, there's never enough flavor.
Oh, and then we have the feta. I forgot
Yes.
about that.
Well,
You know what I did not
that's
do
at the
is
top.
I did not
Salt.
sprinkle any salt and pepper.
Yeah.
So we're going to do
do
that.
wanna do
I'm going
that.
to do a little sprinkle of some salt on everything. The shrimp.
And especially when you are grilling, if you can do that when it comes off the grill or out of the oven or whatever, because it absorbs it.
Yeah, so we want a little bit. And again, with the sodium, if you are sodium sensitive, if you have high blood pressure, you use less. You do want some for the flavor. But you're getting so much flavor from that dressing that it's just amazing. All right, so here's our platter, and I'll give you some, you need like a nice big, let me get you a big spoon.
And you can use a beautiful platter like this. You can use a round platter. You can use anything. I would recommend, though, something at least this size, because this does make a lot.
It's a lot.
And the way you present it is so lovely and it's so easy that everyone's going to think that you really fussed over this.
All right.
But we won't tell them how easy it is.
No, it's just.
So are we ready to
We're ready.
go for it?
So the handle is a little warm, so you can use this. And then, it's so heavy. Do you want me to help you with that? Do you want it right in the middle?
Yeah, I kind of put it in the middle, and then once it's out, I kind of
Move
place
it
it around.
around.
Yeah.
So we're
I
going
like
to
to
get
kind of
that
round this, and then have stuff around it and over it.
Look at how much it makes.
Yes, and it's great leftovers, let me tell you.
Oh, it was so good. I know. When I made it, we had it the next 2 days, and it was absolutely amazing. And the flavors even marry even a little more. Okay.
And I'm having a dinner party Saturday night, and my husband said, why don't we make that couscous again? And I said, well, it's a great idea, because we don't have to be fussing at the last minute when our company arrives. We're going to be like calm, cool, and collected, and have this whole beautiful meal all on one plate.
All right. Now,
So,
I'll help you with this, but because my hands are clean, I'm actually going to, and yours are too.
Use your hands.
I'm going to use my hands.
Yes.
There's like your best
Absolutely.
tool, right?
Your best
in the
tool,
kitchen.
as long
So
as you want.
how do you want me to do this? Do you want me to just separate them, or just
whatever? You
no,
express yourself.
you
There's right
tell
or
me,
wrong.
because you're the one that
I just sort of
spread it all around,
yeah,
and then
so that
just
there's
a little, so everybody
layers,
gets a little taste of everything when you're
and
serving
I tend to put the feta in the middle on the top. And of course, if you're entertaining someone who is vegan, let's say,
Yep.
or not eating cheese or doesn't like feta, I've served it on the side. And I've also served the shrimp on the side too,
Yeah.
for someone who doesn't eat
Absolutely.
seafood.
Because then everybody
So
can
super
just
easy.
tailor it to
Yeah,
their
and you
own
can they can actually
preference.
add whatever they want.
All right, so should we do the rest of the vegetables?
Oh, sure. Let's do that.
All right, so I'll just
Do you want me to help? or-
Sure, yeah.
Okay.
grab a couple tomatoes and we'll spread these
Yes.
around. And you can see how it comes together. It's
so
absolutely
pretty.
so pretty.
And all the colors and all the marrying of these flavors, it's just really, it's divine.
Divine. It is divine.
And your friends, your family, whoever you make this for, or yourself, you will be so impressed. Because
You are gonna.
it's so
they
easy,
will
but
love
you
it.
don't have to tell them how easy this is.
No,
really.
okay, so I think that's good.
Okay,
for
that's good.
That's good. We'll
then
move this out of your way.
Mhm. And then we'll do the,
And then the shrimp.
I will just,
You want a bigger spoon? Or you think do you want to use the couscous spoon and it's a little bit bigger for you?
Oh,
Yeah, you're good.
yeah, we're good. And actually, I think I'll just use my hands.
Yeah, I know.
So,
it's so much easier.
We
with-
can do
with
this,
hands.
and then if, at the end, we're gonna put the feta on the top.
Perfect.
So
Oh my
we'll-
gosh, guys, this reminds me a little bit of the niçoise salad that I posted the other day. It's like a work of art. The color, I don't know how it's going to come across on the camera, but
It is beautiful.
is gorgeous.
You have like a purpley onion, you have the red, the yellow, the green.
And
It
then
is
here's our little bit of
spectacular.
feta. And you can, like Wendy said, you can skip the feta. Actually, I often do because I don't always have feta. Or you can serve it on the side. I'm just going to, you said right through the middle?
Yeah, I just kind of sprinkle
Just
around, yeah.
sprinkle it around.
I never skip the feta. I think feta's
I
great.
know, it is so
Yeah,
good.
We can
I
pretend
do.
we're in Greece or something.
Yeah, that's
right?
exactly, or somewhere right
Yeah.
along
Yeah, and as
along
much as
the-
you want, or as little as you want, or not at all.
All right.
Totally flexible.
It's up to you. All right. So let me try to get. I think you can see it from the angle, but we'll hold this up. Why don't you take one and I'll take the other? So if you can, I hope you can see this because
Pretty
it's gorgeous.
It's so pretty,
Isn't
and it will
beautiful?
impress whoever you have over.
And you can make this a head.
A head.
So you do it. You
Yes.
can. It's a make ahead. It's fine to sit at room
Absolutely.
temperature for a little
Because
bit.
it's all cooked, so it's fine.
All cooked, and you have the
especially
vinaigrette on top. You know, you don't want to keep it out for hours, but I mean, you
No.
can make it ahead so you can get your kitchen all
Yes.
back in order, and
Right.
then it's ready, right?
And then when your company comes over, you either have it on your kitchen counter, or you have it on the middle of the table.
Yeah.
And everybody will ooh and ah and say,
Yeah, it's
"My gosh,
it's like makes you want to just
yeah,
do a little
why
fresh,
not?
little fresh little
Absolutely."
sprigs on top. So pretty. All right, I
Totally
hope you
beautiful.
make this. But if you do,
Yes.
please reach out and let us know. Remember, as always, share this with friends and family. We'd appreciate that. I mean,
Yes.
it's so delicious, and I think you're going to love this, and you're going to love your friends and family are going to love it too.
Oh
right?
yeah, and don't be afraid to try other variations if it moves you. You know?
Right. It's very
Yeah.
flexible. You
Oh
can-
wait, and is there any of the dressing left
Oh,
over?
there is actually.
What I
yeah.
usually do if I have any dressing left over, sorry, Julia,
Yeah.
I then sort of just top it off.
Just top it off so
And
you
that's
don't,
it.
nothing's wasted.
So nothing is wasted.
So great. Oh, it's so great. Thank you so much. That was
Thank
so
you.
fun. And
Thank
we will
you for
see you.
inviting me.
Yeah,
Yes.
thank you so much. All right, everybody take care.
Bye.
We'll
Have a
see you. I'll
great
see you
day.
next week.
Happy
Bye-bye.
cooking.
Yes, thank you.